Welcome to the podcast from Duendelvin. I'm Taylor. This is Kef and
That's Kef. I'm Giles.
Today we are talking about empires. The Lesparthian Empire. Alright, Kef and Giles.
It's okay. Whatever I had said, I was muted for anyways.
As was I.
All right, moving on.
Well, we're talking about the cities in today's episode, right?
We're-
Of the Lesparthian Empire?
We're getting into the nitty gritty, the down and dirty, the places.
Again.
Oh, right. Well,
Something exploded. Don't mind us.
what's the first one?
Well, we should probably start with Drathorn.
What? The capital?
The
Ah. Oh man, I'm too loud.
It's
Look
the
at me
capital
go.
of the Lesparthian Empire.
Ah.
It's tucked away in a really deep forest.
Forest.
That is
Trees.
all.
Caw.
I
Seriously?
literally don't have anything else about it.
We get to build the capital
Of Drathorn.
of Drathorn. All right. So we know the Sparthians, based on our last episode, are they're not the wealthiest. Their claim to fame is their dragon comes and
Yes.
sets them apart. So the people have a more interwoven experience with each other. Their leadership tours the land. They love their government, and not like Mao Zedong or like North Koreans love their governor. Like it's very different. They have benevolent governor or benevolent emperor, empress. Yep.
Oh, also, got any questions, comments, or concerns? Let us know in the
Absolutely.
comment section.
Throw
We
it
should
up.
call it the comment, question, concern.
Questions, comments, concerns, ideas, desires. Throw it up.
Jokes?
We can do
Do you
jokes.
have anything to add that you think is relevant? Anyway.
Or
Alrighty.
is it? All right, so we're building
Or is
Drathorn. Thinking about it, Drathorn is the seat of power, so you can have the palace there. But the biggest part of Drathorn is actually going to be the raised. Looked over this last time. The massive half Incan pyramid, where the dragon would come and rest.
What is Incan?
That's like just for reference. But that big pyramid comes up, and then it has just cut to the top, and there's a
Or just never got finished. in
Well,
this
never got
case.
finished, yeah. And so that is where the dragon will come
Sits.
and declare the next ruler when the emperor or empress dies.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that would be.
And you don't actually go to the very tip top. Like there's actually a platform in front of that kind of comes out from that's where you stand and praise and awe and wait to be chosen. You don't ascend unless you want to be consumed.
Nobody approaches.
Do not approach the deity. Do not approach the herald.
Yep. Ian,
Okay.
can you pull up a map so that Taylor can see the map and she can just ask
The questions about it.
what
Oh
about
gosh,
this city? What
yes.
about this city?
And so that's
You know,
like
that
the
kind of stuff.
major focus that would have, and then the palace would be there. That would be minuscule, so the palace wouldn't be set like the pyramid is literally just for the dragon,
Hmm.
and then the town would kind of build up around that, and so it
Alright.
would break through the trees and just be this massive structure. It'd be good.
Well, in the meantime, what's the next city?
Well, where's that?
Hey, where's that?
Where's that? Where's that?
Hey, because it's
Oh,
got
hey,
two
where's
A's
that?
and A, where's that?
Yeah.
Hey, where's that?
First time, Ian?
That's okay. It's all good.
There we go. Can you zoom in really big? Thank you. So, where's that? So, if the continent kind of looks like a croissant, right?
Oh.
So it kind of has this look to it. And then Drathorn is going to be up top here in the center up north. And then Awerzed is going to be over here. And it's got a huge lake. I think is that the biggest lake in the world?
No.
Yep.
Is it really?
Yep.
I don't think it's the biggest. There's actually a lot more bodies of water on this continent.
Yeah.
No, I'm wrong.
Calder Lake is close, but it would be the biggest body of water on the planet. So yeah, so Averz, and then I point at it like you guys can see.
Yeah, Averz is there, and it is nestled. It's big enough that it's in a little bit of the plains and the wastes. Or is that the desert? It's the wastelands.
Yeah,
The city is mostly in the wastelands, but they built it so that part of the lake comes up into the north side of the city.
Yep.
And so a lot of river traffic comes through Averz.
Yep.
And then the port of Averz is south of Averz.
Yeah. So this major city was established as a second capital. Here's where most of the empire's dealings happen. Drathorn is the actual capital. It's more protected, making Averz the place to go if you need something from the government. So it's like the trade capital of the empire, kind of a thing.
Hence why the port is named after Averz and everything goes through it, and you got river traffic that goes up and around, which is really entertaining. When we built this, we didn't actually put the port next to the river so you could take the river downstream and have a natural egress out into.
That's right. We put it in the ocean.
We said, you know what? Forget this natural ease of access through the wastelands. We're gonna put this in the plains and make it one of the most dangerous places to traverse.
Yeah.
But if I remember right, we talked about the Lesparthians have the skyways.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
The other one, the Podolans do.
Yeah.
The Podolans have the skyways.
Drathorn, those.
Yep, because they had the biggest expanse of plains.
Yeah.
And people would die if they just traveled the plains.
But you have to remember, sailing, so moving up and down river, would be something that you would have to hire pirates to do.
Uh-huh.
Like, I mean, that river is bigger than the Amazon rainforest.
You got river pirates.
I mean, but
Oh boy.
you would have to pay somebody extra money. Like, it would cost more to have the pirates take you up that river into the lake of Ilios.
Which is their patron deity.
Right. You would pay more than you would to drop them off at the port of Averz and then just caravan it.
Right. The caravanners are... But you take the risk. It's also not as fast. So it's going to be faster to travel by river than overland. In most plays, in most concepts. But it is... Pointing at it again, like people can see it. Here we have our croissant.
You guys can't see it.
Croissantinen.
One of these days, we'll figure out how to make them out.
Yep.
I keep saying that, but I mean, it only
We
has
haven't
been
had the
like
time.
a couple weeks.
We've also been aggressively working on the role-playing game and
Right.
fixing a whole new class available to make it play.
So, like, when I have time to sit
Wait a
down and
minute.
actually do something, I'm not figuring out how to do maps.
Okay. Sorry, I wanted to make sure for a second there. Because we keep having Corbin 2 pop up on the audio.
Oh,
Sure.
It does that back
Yep.
and forth. I just want to make sure.
it's okay.
All right.
It never interferes with the mute.
All right. Well,
Yes,
let's
Jesse.
go to IC Ashira.
Ashira?
Yeah.
Okay, Ashira is a medium-sized town that mines for both construction stone and weapon stone. So they mine ore and metal
They have a
out
very
of Ashara.
lucrative area. Makes sense. It'd be very industrial in its own right.
And so in the croissant, you have the bottom edge of most of the place. So there's a little area right here that isn't mountain, and then the port. And then from here all the way across to this side is all mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so there's an island here. It's called the Mountains in the Sea. And then there's another, when you go to the south, there's Antropa, Alakaya, where the Gundharis Empire is. And if you squish them back together, that's the mountain range. And so when the world split, it cut the mountain range apart. And then there's like a mountain, like continent or giant island.
Yeah, there's an island of peaking mountains.
Just mountains. It's almost impossible to get into. But because it broke the mountains in half from Ashara to the edge, to the ocean is really only like 10 or 15 miles from the edge of Ashara to the ocean. However, they don't have ports there because
It's a sheer drop.
it's a sheer drop. We're talking like tens of thousands of, well, not tens of thousands, but probably 10 or 12,000 feet straight to
ocean
the ocean
floor.
floor.
Or not ocean floor, ocean water.
Ocean water.
Then you go even deeper to get to ocean floor. We haven't talked about how deep the oceans are. We'll talk about that later.
We have never discussed how deep
Nope.
the oceans are. So we haven't got there. But yeah, Ashara
And so as a
is
mining
construction and armors.
town, you're going to have quarry. You're going to have quarry workers. You're going to have your industrial area where they're going to actually process the stones and put it into shenanigans. You're also going to have like your concrete mixing, and you're going to have, we call it concrete. It's like ancient concrete. They take stone and they make it into liquid, and then or powder, and then they add it with water, and they let it harden, and then ta-da, you have construction stone.
Brick.
And then you have your forges, your big great behemoths belching fires like smoke. So not necessarily the most, like, it will be kind of a grimy place. You'll be covered in soot. You'll be covered in stone dust.
I'm going to move that.
That's okie dokie. Beep bop. Hey, look. That is a phony pouch.
Indeed it is.
That's Ashara.
Yeah.
We can kind of go back to Ayward's. Ayward's would be very bustling. It would have a great big bazaar, like an open air market, that would tear itself down every single afternoon. So the shops aren't as a permanent structure there, and so merchants come through, and they just buy a stall spot, and they can erect their stall to sell their wares.
Well, I mean, there would definitely be permanent.
There'd be permanent ones, yeah. But the big feature for Ayward's is its open air bazaar.
I think we keep forgetting, and I mean, even I do it, but it's hard to imagine. But Ayward's on the map, the way that you're looking at it, and I don't know who this is relevant to, but for Kyle, if you were to wall C470 and E470,
That's Ayward's.
that would be Ayward's.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's how big, like,
Yeah.
So it's not like this small town where you
No.
could walk it in a day.
And that's but its big attraction is its open air bazaar.
Okay.
That you don't have to have a permanent shop. If you're just starting out as a merchant, you can still roll up in here, pay a couple of essence to get your stall spot secure, and then you can open up a small shop and sell some goods, and you can dip out. They're very accommodating to travelers in that regard.
Yeah.
And like we're in Garthia or other, you'd have to actually like bid for permanent shop space and pay rent, that kind of stuff.
Not here.
Not in Ayward's. And that's why that's one of the big reasons why people come there to get started. Also, it is the continent of Helios, so people are a lot more forgiving.
They're a lot more merciful.
So, right, what else do you want to learn about?
All right. Well, in between Ayward's and Nishira, we could move on to Renstari.
Renstari.
Renstari is more of an outlying town, so you have to go through Renstari. I guess you don't have to go through Renstari to get to Ashara, but it would make sense to go from Ayward's to Ashara through Renstari. So it's really a place where they mine for supplies that they give to Ashara. So it's like a support city for Ashara.
So they found a good vein there of good rich minerals, and it was consistently good. It's kind of like in Pennsylvania, they have a lot of towns that found good coal in the mountains, and they built up around that industry. That's Renstari.
So think Ashara is like a major bustling city, and then Renstari is more of like just a mining town.
Yep.
Kind of a feel.
Trying to what's the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal and the Rockets and all that stuff? Is it Rocket Boys? No. Anyway, it's Pennsylvania town, like just small coal town.
It's
the best way to think about it. You can have a general store. You can have like very small, nothing major. All right, so it's not much for Renstari.
All right.
Not much.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to Nizek.
Nizek. No, let's not.
Let's
cover Nizek last.
Nizek. We need. It's.
There's a
special
reason
city.
for it,
Yeah.
Taylor.
All right.
I promise.
Then we'll go to.
We have Vale. You want Gataula?
Yeah, move up the road.
Gutaula. This is where the military trains. The the Lesparthian Empire trains its military in Gutaula.
Yep, it's very close to the plains where they can go and get some real life combat practice.
but it's still protected in the forest.
Uh-huh.
Which is funny that we did that. I don't even know why we did that, but forests are generally like
Chill.
reasonably peaceful in
Yeah.
our world, whereas the plains are where it's like,
You want
go
to
to the
die?
plains. You want to die?
And then the deserts are dangerous because they're deserts, but the wastes, that's where you have weird things happen.
Right.
It's like the middle of nowhere. Oh man, I'm making a Courage the Cowardly Dog reference today.
Yeah. But with the plains being the most dangerous area, it's funny because the Lesparthian Empire, and I built this map before we decided that the plains were going to be the most dangerous place, but nowhere in the Lesparthian Empire are there cities in the plains.
Yep. The closest is
funny.
Awerzed, and it's got a tip.
It's got a piece
just
in
a
the
bit.
plains, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I didn't know that. But remember, we have like all these cities that we need to build inside of it, but these are the major cities that are owned by,
Based on positioning, there would be.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm trying to think because the humans' ancient city should be somewhere on.
No.
No? And the only one is Durzan. Like the last hand of Durzan is here, yeah. But I thought.
The ruins of Saluth is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The ruins of Saluth would be in the forest of Graul.
But Saluth wasn't in the forest. Saluth was a mountain city.
I know. In
Oh.
Prezone. That mountain or that forest range.
It's weird.
It's a mountain town. You're right.
That doesn't make sense. That does not make sense at all. That's a mistake on our part, I think. Because it really should be in the mountains.
Well, we have never actually placed the ruins.
You're right, we haven't, so we have that chance. But like this is also going to be Siduri and Saluth are going to be the remnants of the ancient cities would be either on here in our current continent or south in I mean it could be sank in the ocean. But you would still find remnants of the ancient technologies that humans used back in the day because they were the ones that did implementation.
We'll
So
put
you-
it in.
Yeah,
We'll add it.
we'll get to that point.
Because the last stand of them and the ruins of them are in different places.
Yep.
So we'll put it in appropriately.
Because
Appropriate.
rare. So yeah, Gatala's going to be very militaristic in general. It's not going to have a lot, but you're going to have camp followers and that kind of stuff. Like just you'd have the army support units, army support staff, and then families would still be there. They don't separate the families from the soldiers. So you're going to have it's actually kind of encouraged here because soldiers with kids tend to be more amicable and less foolish. And so Gatala is going to have this very structured, regimented appeal to it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Valonia.
Vealoria.
Valoria, okay.
Vealoria.
I can
Vaeloria.
So you got to separate the
It's
Ve,
hard. It's in
L,
there.
Oria.
It's in a weird spot, but
It
it's
is in a-
Valoria, yeah.
Mhm.
I can see it now.
Vealoria. Nestles pretty close to the Port of Lost Souls,
Yeah.
y'all.
It's super close
is.
to the Port of Lost
I
Souls.
think it is the
The
closest
city was
city.
built by a few corruption users who hoped to gain power and understanding from the Port of Lost Souls.
Uh-huh. So this is going to be, originally, it was kind of like an outcast town of your shapeshifters, your summoners, your naturalists who were soul, like messing with the soul, doing a little shadow walking, trying to tap a battery. You're also going to have a problem around Vealoria because you're going to have ritual magic a lot more in
Right.
abundance. So this like a ritual school or a ritual training process. would
Right,
be-
and where your corruption and then your dark divine,
Yep.
both of those are going to kind of collect in
Around Vealoria.
Vealoria. They'd be from, like they'll live in Vealoria so that they can go get close to the port without,
Because I remember the port lives in the essence realm, and it doesn't actually have a physical
Right.
function within the actual physical plane.
Yeah.
But if you go into the essence realm, you would see this like massive structure, almost of like. In my brain, it's not like this, but I kind of picture like pods that souls are pushed into, and like the little battery capsules that are just in this massive tower of battery capsules. But I don't think it works that way. That's my picture. That's what my brain pictured when we first talked about it. How it's just a generator for power,
Yeah.
and so the soul gets pushed into a little capsule and then pushed into a spot like a little battery.
Very Matrixy.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, see, I see it more of like Kungan, the walls of Kungan.
Okay, so you see it like a city with walls.
Well, not necessarily, but it works the same way.
Yeah.
It functions the same way.
So
If
the
you don't
soul
get
enters
committed
in.
to the wall in Kungan, you get committed to the wall in the Port of Lost Souls.
Okay, so it's like a
boy.
trap, and then
It's
eventually,
like a trap, yeah.
once you have utilized your time, which is unspecified, as a soul battery, then you get to process into the afterlife.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Which nobody actually knows about or talks about.
Ah, lovely.
Everyone knows the Port of Lost Souls because when you shadow walk, you feel the pull. And it's
Well, and
new.
people would have shadow walked in the portal, like in that area.
Yep. And it's also super dangerous because the closer you are to the port, the less likely you are to escape its pull. It immediately starts to tug on the soul. Yep.
It's got its own gravitational pull.
Solitational.
Well, but after 5 minutes, you're kind of stuck in that
Yeah.
pull anyway. But I think the pull would be stronger
You'd have to be a much
Closer
stronger
you are.
shadow walker
to even attempt it there.
that close. And I can kind of picture they're having like whole meditation chambers devoted to just being able to soul walk in the presence of without being captured by.
That
Man.
would be cool
Yeah.
Mm.
to like practice the soul walking. So your soul gets trapped in the room
Yep.
with
so-
you.
And then you learn how to resist the pull. Yeah. That would make
I
I
sense.
like that.
How do we build it? What kind of
Um,
material would they utilize to help trap the soul? Would they have found something? Maybe a ritual. There's a
Ooh.
ritual conducted to sanctify
Okay, but the ritual
or insulate.
yeah, but the ritual requires a material that you can only get at the Port of Lost Souls
From the essence realm.
in the
Or-
essence realm.
Yeah.
You have
So
to pull it out of
to-
the essence realm
which
to do that.
we talk. Can you actually take stuff with you from the essence realm into the real
I
world?
mean, we just said we.
Yeah. So we haven't talked about that really, but that's kind of wild to think about. You can go to the essence realm and grab a stone and then bring it back, and it would be essence tainted.
Ooh. That's pretty cool.
How would you bring it back? You'd have to tear a hole.
Well, check it out.
Do you tear a hole to go in?
No, when you step out. You step through. Okay. So then, if your soul grabs something but your body doesn't have it, would you like suddenly? So if you put it in your pocket, like you have a pocket, and you're soul walking, you're shadow walking, you go back to your body. Is it now in your pocket? Did it come through the door with you?
Ooh.
Do you have to
The
keep it on
essence
your
of it
person?
did.
Okay. And then it would be given solid form once you come into the reality realm, like the realm of the living. We have some things to discuss on this.
Yep, we're gonna have to discuss that.
Because it's kind of like, well, okay, I like
That's-
the chance to kind of hash this out. So how do we want to
so
work
let's-
this?
Yeah. All right. So I don't know if anybody's watching, but if you have any ideas, feel free to jump in. So okay, so
There you go.
if we got to functionally use the same rule set. If you jump out of your body, you can jump into a different body
Yes.
as long as you.
So the body becomes a conduit to man. So the body the body has to be empty, or you have to force the soul out. We
You have
talked
to
about
force
that.
the soul out.
There's a mental
Right.
battle that happens where you're trying to force
Exactly.
the soul.
So
So you're trying to create a hole.
So what you have to do is, so let's say there's, so in the essence plane,
Okay.
there has to be creatures that exist that are just in the essence.
The shades exist in the essence realm.
The shades.
We have shades. They're old. They were ghosts. Technically, what the ghosts are, people who haven't committed to the. Yeah, we have essence shades. They existed, and then we turned them into wraiths.
Oh, the essence wraith.
So we originally had the shades.
Yeah.
They were creatures that could break into the realm. They could travel in between the two realms, the essence realm and the material realm, but they would exist mostly. This is old talk.
Okay, so how about this? This might make sense. So around the Port of Lost Souls, there are stones that
Okay.
are basically filled with essence power, like batteries. The stones themselves are batteried, like as the people and stuff like that. And you can't move the stones. Like if you go to the Port of Lost Souls, you cannot move a stone.
Okay.
Okay, but
Nice.
if you go into the essence realm and you go to that stone, you can pull a piece of the essence out of that stone.
Okay. So you can
And
capture
so
the essence.
the stone itself like changes the essence to help maintain the barrier. Okay, so the barrier is made out of these stones.
Okay.
Okay. And so you get stuck in the barrier itself and you can be used as a battery. When the stone that creates the block, right, uses some of that power, but it translates that power into something unique to create the wall.
Okay.
It uses the same power, but it corrupts it.
Yeah.
Corrupts the power, right? And so you have to take the corrupted essence power out of the stone,
And find a way
take
to
it with
capture
you,
it.
and then put it in a new stone in the real world. So when you come out, like you have to, in the essence realm, you have to put it inside of the stone. So you're effectively creating your own wall,
Kind of.
but you have to use that magic from there to make your stones
So you have
powered.
to try and funnel power from one stone into a new stone that you can still carry or move. Now I was thinking about it.
Well, no,
Some of-
you would move the energy from here to there
Tim-
so that this creates the block.
Okay. Because Timothelsia brought underworld materials to the overworld and set them into the essence realm in order to create the Port of Lost Souls.
Right.
So it's already a foreign entity being introduced into this realm and then introduced into another foreign area.
Right. So that's
As an
why it
anchor
corrupts
point.
these rocks to create the net.
Yeah.
And then you take that energy and you put it into something and do a ritual to make this rock reflect the.
That's interesting. So in order to make a sanctified, what I'm actually picturing is you have to have someone who is in the essence realm transferring power to the ritual, and then they're also conducting. So you're seeing the ritual from two different sides. That's
Both sides
kinda
have to be
cool.
doing it.
Yeah. So you gotta have strong enough shadow walkers to conduct on your end, and then conduct the other side as well. So you have two different realms creating a pocket barrier that
Right.
protects the soul
And
from
the
escaping.
stone glows when it's operating, and so it starts to like lose its power. And so this is where, if you're a shadow walker, you can actually go.
They could come from the essence realm, the essence wraith. So
Well,
the question was
they-
posed: what if the essence wraiths come from the essence realm?
But they don't
They were
come from the underworld
Yeah, they're definitely underworld denizens.
because Timothelsia
Created
them. But so basically, what we're doing is we're taking a real rock and we're ritualistically corrupting it so that it can handle the energy that has been corrupted by the underworld rocks. We put the energy in this new corrupted rock in it.
Creates an anchor point and creates as many barriers so that if you're shadow walking, you can practice resisting the pull safer. Not permanently safe. You can still
But
get
safer.
yoinked, but safer.
Yeah.
And so you have a whole bunch of people who are consistently working out of body
Yeah.
and tempting fate. I kind of imagine Valoria has been reset multiple times by Essence Wraith incursions.
And to answer your other question, Ian, we don't know where the ritual king is
Or Queen.
or queen.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows.
The ritual fables have been lost. Whoever started it is Gonzo.
Like we don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have not. We've kept it vague, intentional. So every single continent. Still
Well, we've never
believes-
made a decision on where it is.
exactly because
So-
the fable says every single continent had a ritual king or queen, and then it depends. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
even Duendelvin will never know because in essence, Wraith kills you. It takes the essence out of you and takes you out of the cycle,
Right.
so she can't see out of your memories.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Nazek real quick, and then we'll call
Ooh,
it.
we're going a little over today, guys.
Yep.
So
So,
Nazek
Nazek.
is the city of thieves. It is where the Shadows Guild has its home. It is deep, deep, deep inside of a mountain, not like in a valley or something. Like
It is
It's
In the
underneath
mountains.
the mountain.
There is no outside access to Nizek at this
Right.
point.
And so teleportation rocks exist in our world. And so what happens is when you have an anchor point, and then you have an anchor stone, and then you have
It's like a key.
a key, basically. And the key can be anything. It's not like a kind of a key, but
It can
So-
be a.
it can. But so the way that it works, and this is how I described it to one of our players when she was getting to it the first time. You put the ring on your finger, boop, boop, right? And it's the key, and then the cliff side between is it plains?
Nope, that's yeah, that's plains.
Grasslands. The grasslands and the mountains,
Oh,
right? At the
It's grasslands,
southeast corner of Negend.
Yep.
Right? So as soon as the mountains end, there's like a cliff wall. And you have to, at one riced height, rub your hand across the wall and just walk.
until you find the right.
Until
stone.
you find the right spot, and it'll touch the anchor stone, or it'll touch the teleportation stone and take you to the
anchor stone.
anchor stone inside of Nizek.
Nizek.
That's the only way to get there for people who have never been there.
And there's no other outside access. They collapsed it once they realized that. And we talked about this a little bit in the secret societies. When they realized that they had another enemy that was at play, the Knights of the End of Days, and they were stronger than them, they had to protect themselves and collapse the access so they didn't accidentally find the home and wipe them all out.
Right.
Which is kind of funny because Duendelvin finds the home and wipes them all out, but also traps Clat there and is like, educate yourself.
Right.
Way in the future. But that's Nizek. That's why it's there, but it's not actually there. So when you actually look, there is no city of Nizek on the overside of
On
the
the
world.
map.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Kef and Gile.
And thanks for sitting with us as we worked out how to create a whole new ritual that lets you safely shadow walk.
Woo!
All righty.
Yeah.
Talk to you next time.
Bye.